This is the Bahamas Tonight, the Northern Edition. Good evening, I'm Sabrina Brown. Thank you for joining us. Grand Bahamas cruise industry was one of the sectors addressed by the Prime Minister during the annual business outlook on Grand Bahama yesterday. Megan Shepherd has the story.
While on Island Thursday, the nation's leader, the Right Honorable Perry Christie, sharing the major accomplishments of the tourism sector here on Grand Bahama. He says Grand Bahama has faced many challenges, including natural disasters and lack of adequate promotional and planning initiatives. But despite these factors, the island continues to prove its staying power.
Grand Bahama has borne the brunt of successive adversities, both climatic and financial. But today its economy is rising from these calamities. This is in no small part attributable to the resilience of Grand Bahamians, the continued attractiveness to long-term international investors, and the focused efforts of both the government and private sector to arrest the economic freefall and to put Grand Bahama on solid footing towards sustainable growth. It is my view that we are succeeding in the face of formidable challenges, and this is not fiction, this is fact.
He adds that just last year, 1,000 construction jobs and 600 new permanent jobs were added, and record growth is expected this year.
Another 300 to 400 tourism-related jobs are projected to come on stream this year, and inventory demand is expected to exceed capacity on the Lucayan Strip. In fact, this level of demand has not been seen since 2004. The new ship to call on Grand Bahama, the Grand Celebration, which held its maiden voyage on February 4th last month, has already exceeded the Bahamas Celebration 2014 passenger count, already delivering more than 19,000 visitors to Grand Bahama, as compared to some 16,000 delivered by the Bahamas Celebration in the whole of last year.
The Prime Minister adds that the Grand Lucayan Resort has already exceeded last year's performance, and the cruise and stay market is expected to bring in $31 million. The island's newest fast ferry is also expected to be of major economic benefit to the island.
Both the Grand Celebration and the Bahama Mama together are expected to generate some $42 million in the Grand Bahamian economy and $2.3 million in government revenues in 2015. But we will not stop there. The government continues to advance discussions with major cruise lines for the development of a new cruise destination with themed Bahamian attractions right here in Grand Bahama. We anticipate being able to make further announcements about this in early course.
The government is also expecting big numbers when it comes to the airline industry.
The government has also recently negotiated daily air service with Delta Airlines to Freeport, representing a 400% increase in seat capacity from the increased frequency of flights provided by that carrier. American Airlines, meanwhile, has deployed its largest 76-seater on the Miami Freeport routes, while both Bahamas Air and Silver Airways now also have higher frequency flights to Grand Bahama from Fort Lauderdale.
While the country continues to explore new and profitable variations of tourism, Prime Minister Christie is touting the benefits of the medical industry, which has already provided millions of dollars into the economy. Megan Shepherd, CNS Network News.
Drama unfolding at the Freeport Harbor this morning as taxi drivers led a protest just outside the seaport. Police officers were called in. The drivers were determined to unleash their frustrations over what they call the age-old unfair business practices. Megan Shepherd was there.
Members of the Grand Bahama Taxi Union staging a protest at the Freeport Harbor early Friday morning as cab drivers attempted to enter the terminal area of the harbor but were turned away by police officers. However, toll-operated buses were allowed in to collect passengers. Taxi union members say they were not giving any explanation as to why they were being denied entry.
Come to work this morning, hoping to get a job and work well, only to find one ton of policemen here. You got a police inspector calling up the cabs. Never happened before in my lifetime.
Just a few feet away, a police car reversed into the entry to the taxi cab holding area, blocking the vehicles from exiting. A number of police officers were also at the first entrance of the cab holding area. Union members were being monitored and deterred at several points along the road leading to the main entrance of the harbor. They made their way further down the street and began to assemble. They formed a line led by the open window party bus and headed back toward the harbor, where they were stopped midway by police officers. As drivers began to exit their vehicles and police officers insisted they clear the road, the party bus suddenly experienced mechanical difficulties and was unable to move. Mechanics immediately began to service the vehicle, but officers insisted that a wrecker be called to the scene. Unable to move the huge bus, another piece of machinery was brought in, but union members and the union president refused to let it damage the bus. Word quickly spread of the protest, and a crowd began to line both sides of the street, sharing the sentiments of the cab drivers. Now, despite the line of taxi union vehicles in the street, they only blocked one side of the road and traffic was still able to flow on the other side. Watching the display further angered union members and tensions rising even higher. A number of members arguing back and forth with officers and expressing their frustration with the situation they say have been going on for far too long.
I'm awfully sorry, and I feel so bad that everybody is turning out in great groups to protect one man. We are a group of drivers, we have families, and we have bills, the same as he do. One bus load of people can feed at least 5 to 6 families.
People can't park in the harbor for 2 and 3 weeks and can't even get a job. It's time for this to stop now.
It ain't fair for like 2 companies to just get everything. What happened to the rest of the family? What they supposed to do? Taxes going up, light bill going up, everything going up, salary going down, stress going up, VAT here. What happened? Stay in the house, stay on the hill, live good. Then what happened to the small man? It's about time the small man have a say.
You know what we're getting? 15%. Taxi drivers should get 80%, and bus drivers get 20%. Why? It's more taxi drivers than with bus drivers.
Prime Minister promised that we'll get half of what the boat supposed to bring in.
Not half,
and the same,
sell 80.
and the same that since that time we've been getting the half of what we used to get before. You know, so it's unfair. I mean, it seems like the higher the boat bring, the less we get.
Now, as officers and the president of the Grand Bahama Taxi Union were at the head of the line attempting to move that bus, the crowd scuffled down this way, where they say a taxi union member was pulled out of his bus and thrown on the floor. Now, other taxi drivers also say the man behind us has suffered heart ailments in the past, and now the ambulance is pulling up to retrieve that cab driver.
He got a heart problem, all kind of problem, and the police go there and the boss and drag him down and push him on the ground, and that's not right.
They pushed the man out of the bus. Now he's on the ground. This is terrible. This is bad. Okay? Just for our livelihood, this is bad. Okay? Look at him on the ground. Push the camera over there. Look at him on the ground.
Now, shortly after 10:15, the fire truck was called in and the taxi cab buses began to clear the road. Now, some members and even residents are questioning whether or not this roadblock was efficient because tour buses were still able to leave the harbor, taking the majority of the passengers.
We will continue this until we get some result. We will be back.
Reporting for ZNS Network News, I'm Megan Shepard.
As those in the transportation industry battle for their fair share of the economic pie, the ongoing dispute is said to be taking a toll on other sectors as well. With the hostile situation playing out in the front of residents and visitors, many are concerned that those embattled are slowly but surely killing our #1 industry. Joan Davis-Roll reports.
It is an age-old saga that continues to plague this island's transportation and tourism industry. This latest action taken by the Grand Bahama Taxi Union Friday not only impacting the ground transportation sector on Grand Bahama, but residents along with persons working and attempting to do business at the Freeport Harbor. The massive blockade brought traffic in and out of this major port at a standstill. Conveniently, though, some taxi officials stated that the union buses positioned smack dab in the middle of the only road leading into and out of the Freeport Harbor had broken down, impeding the free flow of traffic. Police officials not having it And that's when the unthinkable occurred. Officers moved in on one driver as they attempted to unblock the entrance and defuse what was fast becoming a situation out of control. Instead, the ordeal escalated. An ambulance was summoned to the scene for the injured man, who police forcibly removed from his vehicle. As emergency medical officials arrived, the wife of the cab driver, Samantha Pinder, stood in a state of shock.
It's shocking for me to see this, because he just come to support the taxi driver. I feel so upset because he's a sickly person and they ain't supposed to pull him out of the bus like that and let him fall and let him head.
I understand he just had a surgery?
No, he was in the hospital. He just came out the hospital Friday. And I don't know what's going on.
Upset and caught in the middle of the debacle were residents and visitors alike.
I don't think it's fair. I know they have issues, but I just feel that they should find a different way to deal with it. You should not affect everyone when you have an issue.
I don't think we should be the ones to suffer. You know, they should do it in a more diplomatic way that would affect just the taxis, but not the entire population, so as to speak.
Everybody got to get the share fare of the pie. You know what I mean? And if they do this, then the taxi wouldn't be able to make nothing. One place will get everything, you know? So that's why, I hope everything's straightened out. You need that, you know?
Our bus is full of tourists. That's our daily bread. So it's a catch-20 there. That's not too good. But if the cab drivers are, they need to make money too, I understand. But still, you cannot affect our tourism industry in a negative way, or else you come out in a country and you have a bad experience, you're not coming back.
It's inconveniencing people at this moment, we know that for sure. But right now, we're trying to get to the mailboat.
You came and you saw the long line and saw the police. What did you think?
We thought probably a truck flipped over some people on strike.
While many were irate, some persons like these Canadian visitors were totally oblivious to the fact that they were entering a transportation war zone. Fortunately for Grand Bahama, the upheaval, they say, was not enough to ruin their island experience.
We come from Quebec.
We're French.
We parlons français.
So how do you feel coming in and seeing that the traffic is blocked?
Well, we're not in a hurry.
We are in vacation. 35 years that I came here. It's because I love it.
Many believe that if this matter is not resolved once and for all, it will indeed prove detrimental to our number one industry, tourism. Then they predict that there won't be any tourists for Forbes Charter or the Grand Bahama Taxi Union to transport at all. Reporting for ZNS Network News, I'm Joan Davis-Roll.
The Minister of Tourism, the Honorable Obi Wolshcombe, expressing disappointment over today's turn of events. The minister says Grand Bahama's tourism team continues to develop a paradigm where taxi drivers will benefit more than they did under the previous arrangement. But he says that type of action continues to do damage to the country and to a Grand Bahama that the ministry is trying to rebuild. The tourism minister says the government is working assiduously to better the economy of Grand Bahama, and the Grand Celebration is also committed to working with the taxi union to ensure that all parties are involved in a model arrangement. But he says hostility is not the answer, but reasonable, visionary, and mature leadership must prevail. Minister Wolshcombe notes that most countries want the business that we have, and we must not destroy all the efforts and partnerships that we are nurturing. Minister Wolshcombe, a native of Grand Bahama, assures that his tourism team is behind him in this renaissance, and they intend to make Grand Bahama great again. Stay with us. There's more news after this.